Section 2 of Oliver Lafarge's The Young Warrior. The next night, Crooked Nose and I were lying in wait when the young lover stood on guard. When the girl came out to see him, they whispered, hugged each other, and put their mouths together. They pushed their mouths against each other as a form of lovemaking. It seemed to us that there was a chance to take two prisoners. What sort of warrior was this who dealt with a woman while he was on war duty? His power would be destroyed. His eyes dimmed. His medicine would not protect him. It would have been easy to capture them both at those times when their faces were touching. I went off to find Nantai. He called the others, and we all crept back. Crooked Nose came to meet us. The girl had gone back to the wagons, he said, and the young man was watchful once more. He'd been so close to them he could have touched them with his spear. They had had a long talk, and he thought that they had decided something, he said, and we watched a while longer, then went to our camp. There Crooked Nose and I described what we had seen, and we laughed about the lovemaking. The next morning the train came to where a road branched off northwards to the American settlement at Silver Mine. The settlement was only a few hours' ride away beyond a range of hills, and we knew that there were soldiers there. We were afraid the wagons might turn that way, but they went on by. Very shortly after I had been sitting in a clump of oaks watching the wagons pass, I saw the young man riding a chestnut horse even better than the one he had had the day before. He dropped back behind the spare horses, then worked over to the right, the north side of the valley near the cliffs. He had his gun across his saddle and acted as if he were hunting. Pretty soon the girl rode out to the right. She, too, was well mounted on a buckskin. She idled, looked over the country, and by drifted behind the oak clump in which I was hiding. As soon as she had hidden from the wagons, she whipped up her horse and rode fast to the cliffs, meeting the man in the mouth of a little canyon. I signaled to the others, and we went ahead to where I could see these two. They spoke together for a moment, then they went north up the canyon, riding hard. We assembled on the top of the cliffs, looking down into the canyon. Nantai was pleased. "They're running away," he said. "This afternoon they will reach the silver mine. There they will marry each other. This is fine. They are bait." He told Crooked Nose to follow well in the rear. Then he made us ride along the high ground where the going was difficult. He had us take care so that if anybody followed the couple, he could see no sign of an enemy on the trail. We came to the head of the canyon and climbed up to the flat country on top. Pretty soon we saw them. They were traveling at a steady trot now, well ahead of us. We made a wide circle around them. Then we reached the long valley leading up to a short pass, a notch where the pinon and the oak brush were thick. We went into that notch and lay in the wait there. Nantai gave us our instructions. We could watch that couple coming toward us. It made one want to laugh. They were looking at each other much of the time while they rode. They were thinking only of of each other and getting married. Then we saw Crooked Nose slipping along behind them. Nantai gave the morning dove call, so Crooked Nose came up on a high place and signaled that no one was following. Then he hid himself. We lay there, that you could see there. We came along blindly. We lay there thinking of the surprise we were about to cause. They came along blindly, so close to where we lay that we could see their strange color, less American eyes. Then Nantai whooped and we opened fire. We put 4 arrows and a spear into the man, 1 arrow into the woman. The man came down dead. We pulled the woman off her horse. First she fought and screamed. Then she stood still. Then she tried to break away to get to the man whom Natai was scalping. Comes fighting, and Shortbow held her. The rest of us stood watching her. We kept her. We wanted to keep her until later, but Nantai said there was no time for that. He asked us, "Do you want fun or horses?" Then he put his spear through her and walked slowly, took the scalp. Just then Crooked Nose called like a hawk, so we knew others were coming. Nantai had us drive the 2 horses we had taken and our own on to the north through the notch, making a clear trail. Then he hid the animals and came back to hide near the bodies. 2 men came along riding fast. One was the plump chief man I mentioned, the woman's father. The other was the trapper. The plump man just watched the tracks and sometimes looked ahead. The trapper kept looking all about him, watching everything. We could see that he was a scout, and that we should have to lie very still when he drew near. It was he who saw the bodies first. When he was about 100 paces away, they were partly hidden by the brush. He exclaimed and reined in his horse. To be continued in section 3.